everybody present here on the occasion of the National Conference of for Agriculture Marketing Infrastructure. The Chairman of the Goa Marketing Board, Mr. Prakash Pradip, Vice Chairman, Mr. Premanand Mamre, Dr. J.S. Yadav, the Managing Director of COSAM, Shri Palit Bora, Chairman of the Assam Marketing Board and Senior Vice Chairman of the COSAM, Shri Baldev Singh Bandari, Chairman of the Himachal Pradesh Marketing Board, delegates from all other states present here, and my dear friends. At the onset, on behalf of the Government of Goa, I would like to welcome you to this tiny state which people call to be the jewel in the crown of India. My friend and the Chairman of the Goa Marketing Board, Mr. Prakash Pradip, has given you the dimensions of this jewel in the crown of India. So as compared to your states, we are just perhaps one district. But we have had a name for ourselves, which is much bigger than any district in the country. We have a very distinct identity, which is a jewel in the crown of the country. We are a little different than the other places of the country. We are traditionally we have been an agrarian economy, but as progress has set in, we have slowly diversified into tourism and mining. So agriculture does not become the mainstay of the economy here, but it is something which is one of the most noble professions, and perhaps which is something which can give us safe food, going by what Mr. Bora spoke. It is our endeavor of the Government of Goa to try to be completely organic by the end of our tenure. I know it's not going to be easy. I've had talks with my counterpart in Sikkim, and he told me that it will take you at least 7 years to reach there. But somewhere we got to make a start, and we have made a start using the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, which allots organic farming clusters. And I think which, given the high degree of socio-political consciousness in the state, we will certainly be able to bring about some sort of a attraction towards organic farming in the state. I am convinced that people want safe food. Mr. Bora has said that this will entail going 3 feet down, so that the contaminated soil, the topsoil layer, be moved. Now if there is a will, there is a way. I think Mr. Narendra Modi has shown that if the government's policies are very clear, the tractor manufacturing companies will make such tractors immediately. It's not a big deal. All are Indian companies only. So they'll make tractors which will make you move the soil 3 feet below. It's not a big deal. The issue of cultivating something for yourself and something for the rest of the world to sell, that itself is a little shocking. But that's the way it is. I think it is reality. So we sell what is impure and we try to consume what is pure. But what we consume is not everything what we produce. It may be one aspect of food, but the other aspect becomes contaminated. So as a result of which, I think for sustainability, for long-term safety of the next generation, going organic would be a smart thing for Indians to do. Especially for small states like Goa, which are manageable. Bigger states may have a problem to immediately go because the tires of the marketing system are very huge. Now agriculture marketing in India has its fair share of defects, and there are also remedial measures. We understand that lack of output quality is one, going by what we talked about organic. The output quality changes from whom you want to sell it to. So if you are going to export it to some other state, you are not bothered about what type of quality it is. You just pack it and send it across. And it's for that state to take care of it, to go by their standards of corrections. So this lack of output quality is one of the issues which plagues our agricultural marketing. Now, agriculture marketing is one of the arms which is going to make the farmer double his income, not only double his production. The issue is about doubling the income, not production. You may double the production, and because of the failure of the marketing system, your income may still remain stagnant. Because excess of produce, commodities, can reduce the price also. It is also directly proportional. So we have to strike a balance which will eventually uplift the common farmer, increase and double his income by 2022. This is the target. Mr. Bora brought it to 2020. So it's a little too early. We are trying to work. We in Goa have had a chief minister who was indisposed for 1 year. And I think it's just now that we are beginning to take firm roots, our government here. So we've got 2.5 years remaining, and we don't want any preponement of any targets. It's better we strike to have a target of 2022. It's exactly when our legislative assembly ends. Another issue in India is the absence of grading. We don't have a proper grading facility. Although the British in 1937 had brought about a grading act, not much of it is, I think, we have got AgMark. Mr. Yadav will correct me on that, but I know it's not very functional that way. We have inadequate storage and warehousing facilities. We have lack of adequate transport facilities. And even there is lack of information, in spite of the fact that we are living in an age where information is on the button next to your cell phone. Still the common farmer does not have information and suffers because of it. There are, as usual, a long chain of intermediaries, the middlemen, the agents. There are so many unethical practices. There is multiplicity of charges. You will have, if there is a common, let's say a festival, you will have a separate tax, which will be the festival tax which will come on the farmer. We don't have, in a way, distress sale is something which affects the farmer. So we have several issues. And there are several remedies also which I think all of you are well aware of. I don't have to say it because you all are better off when it comes to agriculture. The scale of agriculture in our state is infinitesimal when it comes to comparison with other states like in the rest of India. But we in Goa, and especially I thank Mr. Prakash Philip for having a separate presentation and separate program for Goa. We in Goa are trying to have also a vision of our own. And given the small size of the state, I think this vision can become a reality. What I wish to always say is when we propose organic, we can also propose the brand Goa. Something like, which has happened in West Bengal. They have got that Vishwa Bangla. On same lines, we need to have a, born in Goa, something like born in Goa. I was trying to call it born in Goa. It makes it big, B-I-G. But I think there is already an issue of big is already a brand which is there through Reliance. So we cannot make that. We'll have to rebrand ourselves. But if the Goan producer goes organic, not only is agriculture produce but handicrafts, especially of the tribal communities, this being marketed under the brand of Goa by the Goa government. This is one vision that we have. We are trying to have proper procurement centers for produces which are endemic to certain regions of the state. We cannot produce everything in one place. Microclimate studies would help in a big way and also be followed up by proper procurement centers. We want to incentivize and promote cold chain. Now the issue with the farmer here in Goa is that what he produces and what he brings to the market, he has to sell it that day. Because of the absence of cold chain, he doesn't want to take it home. And therefore there is a distress sale. He says in the evening, he sells it at a cheaper price. So if you have cold chains, supported and promoted by the government, I think we will be able to prevent this distress sale. Now there are also apps. Reliance has come out with an app which is kitchen to farm to kitchen. You in a state like Goa, we can have it. If everybody goes organic, if this thought of mine of bringing this 500 organic clusters this year actually works, then we can have an agri cloud, a cloud in which the producer as well as the buyer, there is computed in an agri cloud, which the government can make. I'm in the process of finalizing a tender for an agri cloud within 15 days from now. So which I can do. But provided that this technology allows the common Goan to bring that produce from the kitchen to the farm, or from the farm to the kitchen, which can be an app-based service. So I think by and large these are a few of the corrections in the present scenario which the Goa government intends to do. I would also like the help of your expertise, of your experience, to take this vision forward and in a way help the farmer from his present distress, also to motivate the younger generation to take up farming, because in Goa we have got the benefit of something which is called, is almost like a dual citizenship. It's giving you a license to take an entry into the European Union through a Portuguese passport, which is what is happening in large tracts of South Goa, leaving people to give up their agricultural lands. Absence of a contract farming act here, which Niti Aayog is actually making compulsory for every state to enact, does not bring some other private entity to do the farming in those tracts which are barren, which are uncultivated for long periods of time. There is a general feeling that the moment you give it to somebody, your field is gone once and for all. So which is why I have been always stressing on our revenue minister. Our farming in Goa has got a lot of an aspect of comunidad in it, so that it becomes more of a revenue ministry legislation to bring in the contract farming act. I have in my own way tried to bring in community farming incentives to create infrastructure for those people who are uniting, who are eventually some sort of a cooperation in farming. This is a concept of community farming which we have already started implementing in Goa. I think all this will eventually help to take the farmer forward, and I'm very happy to be here with you on this occasion, and I welcome you once again on behalf of the government of Goa. I've got to rush out because we've got the cabinet meeting at 12 o'clock, and that's in the other side of Goa. So please excuse me, and once again wish you all the very best. Thank you.